Stock market is in panic, daily stock market news. Oil tumbles 5% after unexpected surge in crude stockpile. Crude prices tumbled about 5% on Wednesday, falling below the key $40 per barrel support, after an unexpectedly large U.S. crude stockpile build for last week reported by the government reinforced concerns about depleting demand for fuel amid the worsening global outbreak of COVID-19. U.S. crude stockpiles rose 4.3 million barrels, against expectations for an increase of 1.23 million barrels, the Energy Information Administration reported. That comes a week after crude stocks fell 1 million barrel. This could be the opportunity to buy a discounted stock. Wall Street tumbles as virus concerns mount, Europe eyes new lockdowns. Stocks dropped sharply, pointing to another volatile day on Wall Street as investors nervously eyed elevated coronavirus case counts in the US and Europe, weighed outcomes of Election Day next week and contemplated when another round of fiscal stimulus out of Washington might get passed. The drop in domestic equities came alongside a plunge in European stocks, with the Stoxx 600 selling off and hitting the lowest level since May. Concerns of even more restrictions across the region weighed on global risk assets, with French President Emmanuel Macron set to give a speech later today in France that could be used to announce more lockdowns. In the US, hospitalizations related to COVID-19 have risen by at least 10% over the past week across 32 US states and Washington, D.C., according to data compiled by Bloomberg. Volatility index VIX jumped more than 18% to its highest level since June. Contracts on the Dow tumbled more than 700 points mid-morning. Component Microsoft dropped even after the tech giant reported quarterly revenue that grew a better-than-expected 12% as its Azure cloud offering accelerated sales growth from the previous period. Guidance for some business units' current quarter performance came in light, however. Tech stocks will remain in focus on Wednesday. The U.S. Senate Committee on Commerce, Science and Transportation began holding a hearing with Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg and Alphabet CEO Sundar Pichai to discuss Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, which has to date helped protect online platforms from liability over user-created content. 7:27 a.m. Eastern Time Wednesday, stock futures point sharply lower. 9:53 a.m. Eastern Time. Boeing announces more job cuts as global airline industry continues to get hammered by virus. 1:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Stocks hit day's lows as Germany announces new lockdowns as the continent faces a resurgence of COVID-19 infections. Europe's largest economy announced it plans to shut down bars, restaurants, theaters and gyms to curb the spread. France may also slap similar restrictions on its economy. Worth noting that Germany's measures are less restrictive than those seen in the spring when the virus first appeared. Investors, at least partly fearful that the US could follow suit as the recovery falters, are laying siege to stocks. The Dow sank by more than 900 points intraday, with technology stocks also taking a beating. Toyota recalling 5.84 million vehicles for fuel pump issue. Toyota Motor Corp said Wednesday it has expanded a worldwide fuel pump recall to a total of 5.84 million vehicles for a defect that could cause the part to fail. The largest Japanese automaker said Wednesday it was adding another 1.52 million U.S. vehicles to the recall that was first announced in January and covers numerous models built between July 2017 through September. Toyota said the vehicles that have a fuel pump that may stop operating and could result in a vehicle stall, and the vehicle may be unable to be restarted. Dealers will replace the fuel pump with an improved version. Bezos-backed British startup run by ex-Uber executive is sued for fraud, theft. A former Uber Technologies (NYSE) Uber executive who co-founded a British startup backed by billionaire Jeff Bezos has been sued for allegedly stealing trade secrets from a California shipping and logistics company where he was once a board member. Vanguard Logistics Services USA Inc. accused Fraser Robinson of conspiring with another former Uber executive to steal algorithms, data and other intellectual property in 2018 to create their copycat, London-based company, Beacon Technologies Limited. The complaint against Robinson and Beacon was filed on Tuesday with the U.S. District Court in Los Angeles. But we have also good news. Ford stock in buy range ahead of earnings report. Ford earnings estimates. Wall Street expects Ford earnings to plunge 35% to 22 cents. Automotive revenue is seen falling 4% to $32.70 billion. That's according to Zacks Investment Research. Ford benefited from its shift away from passenger cars. In a hot market for trucks, Ford had its best Q3 for high-margin pickup sales since 2005. China Q3 sales also rose nearly 4% sequentially, while markets in Europe also rebounded strongly after stimulus measures, Ford said. China EVs are catching up with Tesla. Beijing has massive ambitions for electric vehicles, EV, and it seeks 25% of all car sales in the country to be EVs by 2025, Financial Times reports. In 2019, China sold 1.2 million EVs, accounting for more than half of global sales. The China Association of Automobile Manufacturers expects new EV sales to reach 1.1 million by the year-end despite the pandemic, Reuters reports. According to FT, China can leverage its vast scale advantages to make the first EV that can compete with traditional cars on price and tap the international market, which is ready due to growing worries about climate change. The EV industry in China is at a critical juncture. The price of EV batteries is set to drop below $100 per kilowatt-hour by 2023, down from the current $160. EV batteries account for a significant portion of the overall car's cost, and the price point below $100 is a cost parity with internal combustion engine cars.